Hi, I'm Madison and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to be reading this book that everyone keeps talking about. I know absolutely nothing about this except for the fact that it is Gossip Girl in the UK, an adult, and that it's super toxic. This has been everywhere on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. Literally everyone and their grandmother and their great-great-grandmother, if they're still alive, is talking about this book. So I need to know what this hype is about, and I've decided today to give myself a little bit of Magnolia Parks vibes when I decided to start this vlog off. So I did start this book already, but I wanted to do an introduction to this vlog while I had the chance, and so I'm very excited to get into it, and without further ado, let's see what the hype is about and if it actually is a good book. Okay, I'm currently 2 chapters in. First thoughts is too many fucking brands being mentioned here. Okay, bruh? The amount of times everything that has a brand is being mentioned. We'll see if it keeps on going or if it's just like in the beginning to kind of like highlight the fact of how rich they all are. We have Magnolia and we have BJ. Magnolia's dad is like an Emmy, Grammy winner and all those kind of things. Her mom is like a handbag designer, so she's hella freaking rich, like $800 million in her trust fund kind of rich. And then BJ, whose name is like Baxter something Valentine, which I kind of like dig personally. I think his name is great. Don't really know what his whole deal is yet. His family is also rich, but him and Magnolia 2 years ago, they were like, they're best friends since they were kids, obviously dated, then 2 years ago something happened. And now they're still best friends and everything, but they're not together, even though they're both still in love with one another. But whatever happened 2 years ago was so bad that she won't date him again. And so they're still best friends, and she still gets jealous when he's with other people, and he gets jealous when she's with other people, and X, Y, and Z. But, you know, hashtag toxic relationship, mate. So I'm very curious how this is going to go, and I just hope it doesn't read too juvenile, because I think that they're supposed to be like in their late 20s, so we'll see. So I'm now 60 pages in. Don't know why I'm watching you guys as frequently, but I have a feeling that the immense detailing on their clothing is not going to go away. Like, it's every single time someone wears clothing, it is explained as to what the exact brand is, the exact shade, the beadwork, the cufflinks. There's so much detail on the clothes, and like, I get it, but as like someone who grew up in fashion, I don't need to read this. It's fine. Anyway, otherwise, it's really interesting because it is I don't even know what, it's first person, but it's first person where they are also breaking the third wall and talking to you as the reader as well, which is where I think the Gossip Girl after it comes in, because it's like, but you already know this, but you already built it, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, I'm gonna keep going. Bye. Like, do you see this every single time someone comes in? Like, he walks in and it goes, black and white zodiac matchup from Valentino, the black and very torn blush blowout sim leg jeans from Purple Brand, and the black and marshmallow earth old school band. Like, it's always, every single time someone comes in, their outfits get an entire paragraph of what they should look like every single time. Oh, I was just about to start the clip and be like, hey, so it's just about to start pissing down with rain, and it just started pissing down with rain. Wow, that was really accurate. Anyway, I got changed because I wanted to get more comfortable. But I'm now 100 pages in. I've got to be flat out honest with you. I don't actually know who the fuck the romance is supposed to be between, because Magnolia and BJ, like, I don't see how this toxic relationship can redeem itself, so I'm very curious. I did also meet Daisy, who I know is like the next book or something. I don't really know, but I know that she has a book herself, so I met her and she sounds really cool, but I have no idea where the fuck this is going. I also don't know if I mentioned it, but Magnolia, she's half black, half Russian as well, by the way. And there's also a trigger warning in this for substance abuse. I mean, obviously alcoholism and like drugs and shit, but there is on-page overdosing, just in case anyone was wondering. So hello. Okay, so it is 1:30 in the morning. This shit's addictive, to be quite honest with you. This is an extremely addictive read. Like, once shit starts going down, like, it just keeps going down and getting worse and getting drawn out. And you just, it's like a fire is happening and you just can't help but watch it. It's like watching a soap opera. This is literally like a soap opera, to be quite honest with you. You're like, this is ridiculous what is happening. But like, what are you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? She is 22 years old. That's what I figured out. Magnolia's 22 and BJ is 25. He acts like he's 18, but that's beyond the point, okay? Basically what this is about is obviously their toxic relationship and all the shit they've done between each other all these years, but also her entering into like a fake dating relationship with this other guy named Tom, who's 31 years old, the most eligible bachelor in all of London. Love him, because they both need to fake date for their own reasons, and then them kind of starting to fall in love with each other at the same time, but then they're both also in love with other people, and like that's also super freaking messy. It's not smutty or steamy whatsoever. I mean, there are sex scenes, but they're nothing like graphic or depicted, and they're not there for that pleasure aspect either. They're there for the plot development and the plot growth, quite honestly, which is different, actually, now I think about it. I got changed again. But I don't know, my guess right now is that BJ cheated on her with someone that is very important to her, and that is why he will never reveal who it is. Weirdly enough, some part of me thinks it's her sister. That'd be really weird though. It'd be really weird if it was her sister that he cheated on her with. I don't know why. That's like the only person that we've met that she's close to that I think could make sense. I don't know, dude. I don't know what there's gonna be a final plot twist in this, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to see it coming. So I'm invested, but we'll see. Okay, catch you guys up later. So, like, I know I'm in the process of, like, spoiling this entire book for you. So, just so everyone knows, currently, turns out that her nanny, the one person that she has trusted as an adult and has been, like, a paternal figure for her entire, like, 22 years of life, has actually been sleeping with her dad for, like, the last 6 years. I was like, that was some tea. I mean, like I said, it's like you're watching a soap opera. This entire book feels like a soap opera. It's like the most ridiculous stuff just keeps on happening, and you're like, bruh, like what the actual F, like legit. And I mean, like, you know, BJ's going off the deep end this entire time. He's just like, I will be honest, I don't like BJ. I like Magnolia, I don't like BJ. There's something about BJ that I just, like, he doesn't have any redeeming qualities. He's just a little shit, and like, he's not sorry, like really, for having slept with someone else. And he just keeps trying to make excuses for it. And like, I do know that there are people who go back to people who cheat on them. I'm fully aware of that. But like, it's just the fact that, like, you know, that happened, and then he's just gone around and basically banged the entire of London in the meantime. And I just don't, like, he just doesn't, there's nothing about BJ that I'm rooting for. I really like Magnolia, and I want her to have a happy ending, and I like her and Tom together. They're very much like star-crossed lovers, to be quite honest, because they're both in love with other people, and they're both also falling in love with each other at the same time. And, you know, very soon I think that they're gonna have sex, because she hasn't had sex with anyone except for BJ, and so if she has sex with someone else, it's like, but like, I don't know. And it's just like, she's like walked in on him, like, basically having sex with like random chicks all the time. He's like also almost like, I don't know if I mentioned this already, but there's a trigger in this for, you know, drugs and alcohol, but also especially drugs, because BJ overdosed in the past on cocaine almost died, which, you know, is a very serious thing, but it's like, you know, just want to let everyone know that. But like, also him and his whole coke issue as well as like a whole thing. And like, it's just like, this is like Euphoria meets After by Ana Todd. Yeah, this is Euphoria meets After by Ana Todd set in the UK. Bam! Take that. That is exactly what this book is. So it's like, I'm enjoying reading it. It's just like nothing is getting resolved, and just more and more problems are adding up, and it's like they just keep sticking band-aids onto like a pot that is like trying to burst, and it's like no matter how much you try and like band-aid it, eventually the pressure's gonna get too much, it's just gonna burst. So I don't know. I still don't know who he cheated on her with. I don't know, we'll figure it out. But I feel like that's going to be like the breaking point at the end. I don't know, we'll see. I like Tom a lot, so I'll be really depressed about if his shit goes sideways, because I like him. He's like such an innocent bystander in all this. What is up? I have officially finished Magnolia Parks. So as you guys can see, I did tab like a crap ton of this book. I did enjoy it. I think that there are so many moments in this that just have like very beautiful prose, like lyrical writing in general. And there are just so many things that I was like, oh my God, like I was just like, I had to like tab this, and like just some of the ways that they were like speaking to each other, like, because there's such like a toxic relationship, but there were just so many iconic moments of like describing that, like, listen to this. BJ and I think that we're like a fine chain gold necklace all tangled. It's not impossible to undo, but it feels like it is. You can sometimes maneuver the chain free of itself, but not very often. Most of the time, you have to undo it at the clasp or break it completely for the knots to come undone. It's just like, if you love poetry, you'll love so many of like the moments in this. Like, he smells like a Sunday morning, slow, easy, uncomplicated. Like, so many great things. I'm giving this a 3 stars. Which I know sounds weird, but I was just like, it's so beautiful. I know I explained it in my last clip, and that is the fact that I just don't like BJ. And I do respect and understand, that sounds weird to say, like, I respect toxic relationships, but I say that in the fact of, I have been someone who has repeatedly gone back to someone who was toxic, or has been in toxic relationships and has, you know, forgiven people and overlooked them for when they've done things like cheating and stuff like that to me. And I understand 100% where this book is coming from, and I think it's because I understand what it's like to be in those relationships that BJ's perspective is just one that I was just never able to fully get behind, because he was never, in my opinion, actually apologetic for the fact that he cheated on Magnolia, and the fact that he dealt with her leaving him over that by then sleeping with like literally the entirety of London, and him being like, it's not a big deal, we were not together. I was like, yeah, but you were still fucking people just to get her upset and to make her jealous. Like, bro, we know that's like the truth here. So throughout this entire book, I was never actually supportive of BJ and Magnolia being together. And I liked Magnolia. I actually liked her a lot, and I understood her as a person. I totally understood where she was coming from, and I felt for her, and I wanted her to find her happiness. And I could relate to her in some of these aspects as well, where, you know, you get so hurt by someone in the past that your immediate thing afterwards is to then make as many people as you can basically like you and love you as a result, because you're trying to fill that void that someone else hurt. So I definitely understand and am very like compassionate towards Magnolia. I just don't like BJ and her relationship. And the thing is, like, I know this is like a full series. You got Magnolia Parks and you've got Daisy Hates, or Daisy Heights, whatever her name is. The second book follows another girl in this, and then the third book comes back to BJ and Magnolia. Now, I know this is therefore not a complete book, but I will say that I felt like I read this entire thing and nothing happened, because we ended up back at the same place that we were in the fucking beginning. The only difference is that she now knows who he cheated on her with, and now she's even more pissed, you know? And so I just feel like that frustrates me as well. And I feel like had this maybe ended a bit differently, it could have been a bit higher rated, but it's just gonna be a 3 from me. I'm gonna spoil the ending now. I haven't spoiled too much about this entire book, honestly, but I'm gonna spoil the ending now in case anyone is curious. This ends basically, I think it's like what, maybe at like this point here, like some point in like the last third of this book, she ends up having sex with Tom England. Her and Tom, you know, the two of them are fake dating for their own various reasons. He's in love with someone else, she's in love with someone else, so they're gonna be each other's like beards basically. And they end up having sex, and this is the first person she's had sex with since BJ, because she ends up catching BJ literally having sex with someone else, and she knows that he's fucked around and stuff, but when she actually literally catches him doing the do with some random chick, she's like, I've had it, I'm done. And so she ends up kind of thinking that she wants to be officially with Tom and is trying to move on with Tom, but BJ is consistently trying to pull her back in. He never leaves her alone. He's consistently back in her life, and so he's never fully cut off from her. And so the two of them eventually do end up, you know, at one point they meet someplace and they end up having sex under a tree, and then they're suddenly back together in like the last like 50 pages of this book. Keep in mind that during this time, once he finds out that Magnolia has had sex with Tom, he then goes on a whole cocaine bender and does cocaine for like weeks on end and gets really fucked up and shit, and his whole life goes to wreck. And she forgives him for all that, even though like she was like, the one thing I never want you to do again ever is cocaine, or else I'll never speak to you. And she forgives him anyway, and I was like, well, like, what the fuck, bro? Anyway, so that happens, they get back together, and then the next day she ends up figuring out who he had sex with and cheated on her with, and that's her best friend, which I didn't see coming. I thought it could have been her, but I kind of brushed it off, I think, and I kind of thought it would make more sense for it to have been the sister, because the best friend to this entire book has like hated on BJ. So it was like, what the actual flip? And then you find out that they weren't even drunk when they cheated with each other. So the best friend and the boyfriend were not even drunk. And I mean, like, being drunk and being inebriated, being intoxicated in any sort of way does not excuse cheating, but it would have at least made a little more sense. But they just did it, and they did it in a bathtub. An empty bathtub. Who has sex in an empty bathtub, bro? That is so strange. That'd be so uncomfortable. Did not go. Anyway, so then it ends with her figuring this out, and then she yeets the fuck off on like an airplane somewhere. I don't even remember where she goes. She just boards a plane, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it just says she goes to Heathrow, so who knows where she ends up. Curious, but I don't know. I will continue with this series. I do want to read the second book, but I mean, these books cost like $21 and I don't have the money right now to buy the second book, so, because I'm not that desperate enough to continue with this series, you know? So as addictive as it was, and as much as I felt like this entire book, if I had to sum it up, I mean, apart from how I summed it up earlier, which is like Euphoria meets After, but it's kind of like you're watching a plane crash. You can't help but look at the plane as it's crashing. It's the exact same analogy as like when you're driving on a freeway and you see there's a car crash. You know that if you stop to look at the car crash, you're going to cause traffic behind you. But there's something about seeing everything going on that you automatically slow down to watch because you cannot help yourself. And that is what this book is. It is like seeing a car crash on the highway and being unable, you just have to watch it slowly as you're driving past. And then you keep going on with your life as if nothing happened. Because I finished this book a week ago and I'm just like, well, it is what it is, but it hasn't had the like lasting effect on me. So 3 out of 5 stars. I would still recommend you look into it if you liked the After series by Ana Todd, if you liked the entire Gossip Girl series. I think if you like those things, check it out. Just for me, it wasn't like that 5-star hype book that I felt like everyone else has kind of been making this out to be. So a bit of an unpopular opinion, but I mean, not that I hated the book, I just didn't like aspects of it. So please let me know in the comments if there are any other books that you would like me to do this sort of a video for, where I kind of read it and kind of do give you guys spoilers as I'm reading it, because it's a super popular book and you guys want to kind of see it. I know that like when *Credence* by Penelope Douglas came out, I never wanted to read *Credence*. I had no desire to read it, but I watched like everyone else's vlogs reading it spoilery because that was enjoyable to me instead. So if there are any other books like that, if you guys did enjoy this video, please hit that button down below. If you want to see more of me, subscribe to my channel, and until next time, thanks so much everyone. Bye bye.